Hey everyone, I'm going to take a little bit of time here to go over the course project with you. This is just going to be an overview so that you understand what the course project is all about, what the different parts are, when they'll be assigned, and how all of it works basically. All right, so I'm going to pull up the handout that goes with it. Go. All right, so the course project for this course is to write a well-developed, well-researched, with at least 3 to 4 sources, properly cited and appropriately formatted in APA format, research paper, roughly 4 to 5 pages in length, not including the title page and the references page. 4 to 5 pages of essay, right? Research paper in APA format with at least 3 to 4 sources. Okay, that might sound very daunting right now. We are going to work on it in stages, and we are going to learn how to do all of this stuff in the weekly modules. Okay, the course project is worth 50% of your overall grade. It is super important. It is what should be the focus of this course for you. A lot of students seem to think that the discussions are the focus. You'll see over the coming weeks that the discussions involve poetry. And they think that they got to learn about poetry. And they got to learn about poetry. And they got to get it right. And that's not the case. The discussions are there to enhance our critical thinking skills, to get us to use our critical thinking skills in ways we normally don't. Okay? The grade category for discussions is worth a good bit of your grade. It's worth 20% of your overall grade. But the content of the discussions is not the focus of this course. The focus of this course is this course project, the research paper. Okay? Not only is it worth more, it's worth 50% of your overall grade, but it's what the whole purpose of the course is to teach you how to write essays well and how to incorporate research into those essays. That's the focus. Okay. We're going to learn in the first couple weeks of the course some basics about essay writing, introductory paragraphs and thesis statements, how to have well-developed body paragraphs, how to have a well-developed concluding paragraph. And then we switch gears and we start looking at research methods, APA format, how to create reference entries, how to create citations, how to integrate sources into your essay. We really hit every aspect of the research process. All right. So that's what the course project is all about. It is a research paper using at least 3 to 4 sources in APA format, 4 to 5 pages in length, not including the title page or references page. But we will work on it together in stages, and you will have everything you need at your disposal once it comes time to actually write a draft of the research paper. Okay? All right, so the project is broken down into 4 parts. You have to complete each part, and you have to submit it and get my feedback on each part before you can move on to the next. So please keep that in mind. So we start, of course, with project part 1. This is where you're going to get a focused topic. You're going to engage with the issue, meaning just answer some general questions and gather your thoughts about the issue, about the topic, and come up with a research plan. So the first step is selecting your topic. This is actually sometimes the hardest part for some students, and what can often make them fall behind because they have a difficult time choosing a topic out of thin air, because you can choose, there's just an unlimited number of possible topics to choose from. So to make it a little bit easier, I actually give you a list of topics to choose from. I think there's 7 or 8 of them. They are all pertaining to nursing specifically or the healthcare field in general, right? So you'll have a list to choose from, and for project part 1, you'll make your choice, and then you'll do a little a little free writing exercise where you just sort of type nonstop about that topic and just get it all out on the screen. And then there'll be some more specific questions that you'll answer about the topic, and then you'll come up with your research plan. So project part 1 gets assigned this week in week 1. I will review your submission during week 2 and offer feedback to make sure that you have understood the topic and that you have some good ideas about the topic and that you have a good research plan. And then you'll be able to move on to part 2 once it's assigned. Project part 1 is worth 25 points. It's going to be just like a standard homework assignment. As long as you do it and complete it in full, you will get all the points for it, right? It is worth 15% of that total 50% that the course project is worth, right? Okay. Project part 2, you're going to get a little more focused with this topic. You're going to come up with your thesis statement. Because some of these topics that I give you to choose from, there's even within those topics, there's a lot that you could talk about, right? So one of the topics is, what are the causes of nursing burnout? Well, there's actually quite a few, but you can't write a 4 to 5 page paper on that includes every single cause. No, you're going to want to choose which specific causes you want to focus on. So by the time you get to project part 2, that's where we're narrowing in, and you're going to come up with your thesis statement, okay? You are going to list your main points. So again, what are the causes that you're going to look at? One of the topics is what is music therapy? What are the main things about music therapy that you're going to focus on, right? So what is your working thesis statement going to be? What are your main points going to be? Like the main paragraphs, the main sections of your essay. And what sources do you have? Remember, at least 3 to 4 sources. So you're going to, in project part 2, you're going to need to find those sources and nail them down and tell me what each source is. You're going to do it in APA format, but we'll have learned about it by then. And then you're going to tell me a little bit about each source you've chosen. Why? Like how you plan on using it in the essay, right? So that gets assigned, project part 2 gets assigned in week 4, right? I will review what you've written, what you've submitted during week 5. And then by the time week 6 starts, you'll have my feedback. You'll know if your thesis and your sources and your main points are all, good to go. And you'll be able to move on to project part 3 once it is assigned, right? So project part 2 is worth 25 points. And again, as long as you complete it in full, you'll get all those points. And then you'll be free to move on to project part 3 once it is assigned. Project part 3 is the rough draft of the essay, okay? You want to put as much effort as you can into that rough draft when project part 3 gets here, because I will be giving you very detailed feedback on it and very detailed suggestions for improvement. So the more you give me, the more I can give you, right? And the more I can give you, the better position you'll be in to make good revisions and come out with the strongest final draft that you possibly can. So when that rough draft gets assigned, you want to make sure you have your title page. You want to make sure that you have it in APA format. You want to make sure you have your references page. You want to make sure you have your citations in your essay. You want to have as much of it as possible. And if we need to add stuff or change things or correct things, that's fine. But as long as you can give me, as complete a draft as possible from page 1 to the reference page, from the title page to the reference page, the more help I can provide you. So please keep that in mind. I will remind you again when Project Part 3 rolls around, which will be assigned in week 6. You will get 2 weeks to work on it though. So it'll be assigned in week 6, but it won't be due at the end of week 6 on Sunday. It'll be due by the time week 8 begins, right? So you'll get 2 weeks to work on that rough draft. During week 8, I will be reviewing those drafts and again, giving you very detailed feedback on them. You will get your draft back with my feedback no later than the end of week 8. So by the time week 9 begins, you should have your rough draft back from me with my suggestions. As long as you submit the rough draft, as long as it's not just a copy and paste job from sources, as long as it's, your effort going into the rough draft, you'll get the 25 points for it, and you will be free to move on to revise for the final draft. So the final draft is Project Part 4, and that's where you're going to take my suggestions, make your revisions, and have a stronger, more polished version of your research paper. It is due the Tuesday of week 10. So again, remember I said you'll have your rough draft back no later than the start of week 9, right? So week 9 begins on a Monday. You'll have it back no later than that day. And you'll get all of week 9 and 2 days into week 10 to make your revisions. And you'll submit the final draft no later than 11:59 p.m. in the Tuesday of week 10. Because it's a short week and the course ends for good on that Thursday night at 11:59 p.m., I will not accept any final drafts past that deadline on Tuesday night because I have to have time to read all of them and grade all of them and have final grades submitted by Friday afternoon. So I will remind you of this multiple times towards the end of the term when these are coming due, but I want you to just be aware of it and keep it in your mind throughout the whole term that as we work on this course project, you want to stay on top of it as much as you possibly can so that by the time you get your rough draft back, you are ready to go and you can make those revisions and get that final draft submitted on time. Because if you don't get it submitted on time, I won't accept it. You'll get a 0 on the final draft, and that could very likely cause you to fail the course. We do not want that, okay? But hopefully, you get that rough draft back and you see my suggestions and you're able to make those changes and get it turned in on time, no problem, okay? Remember, that final draft is worth half of the whole 50% that the course project is worth, okay? It's 100 points and you will be formally graded with a rubric for Project Part 4. This one is not just effort-based. Project Part 4, the final draft, gets graded, okay? You'll have access to the rubric when the rough draft is assigned for Project Part 3, just so you can see it and you'll know what the categories consist of and what I'm going to be looking at when I score your final draft, okay? But again, just remember that you're going to be getting very detailed feedback from me and it will help you, okay? All right, so again, that's just an overview of the course project. And, every part comes with its own set of instructions, right? So it's not like you have to remember all of that. And then I'm going to say, okay, Project Part 1's due this week. And you have to come back and be like, oh, crap, what was Project Part 1? No, it will have its own set of instructions, okay? All right, so if you have any questions, any big concerns about the course project, feel free to reach out to me. But also please keep in mind that I I will be going over APA format and research and reference entries and citations. That's part of the lessons here in the first half of the course. So that by the time you get to that rough draft, we will have covered all of those elements. So I don't want you to stress out too much about them right now. We will get to them, okay? So I will also schedule a Zoom meeting, an optional Zoom meeting, um, as we get closer to project part 3 being due, so that we can all just check in together and see how we're doing, see if anybody's having any big problems with the lessons on research in APA format. And, we can just all kind of, feel better about things at that point. Um, but again, I am here if you do have any pressing questions or concerns about the course project. Okay. Otherwise, you are free to go ahead and move on to the next item.